Welcome to another edition of Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show. I'm Anthony T. In this edition, it's Blumhousemania and Wrestlemania, as those are pretty much the two main topics of this episode, everyone. As yours truly will be reviewing Wrestlemania 40, that will take up most of this episode. As like every other WrestleMania, it does take a lot of time in the episode because there's two shows to review, everyone. Usually, I can get shows done easy, 2.5 weeks, but the beginning of the year is always the tough one, seriously, with the best of shows and the WrestleMania show. And the fact that it's coming so late tells you how much trouble I had putting this episode together. But then again, it wouldn't be a WrestleMania episode if there wasn't production troubles. Seriously. Because these are long reviews, everyone. This is not like a 10-15 minute pay-per-view review or premium live event review. It's a long 2-show review. And it takes a while, I admit. So that's why I haven't had another episode in a while. But I'll get to that later on. Then in What's Anthony T Watching, I will be reviewing Blumhouse's Night Swim. Yes, the first theatrical horror release of 2024. And no, I did not see this one in theaters, everyone. Because, well, I had low expectations. And if I'm paying money for a film and I'm hearing bad things about it, I'm going to wait for premium services like Peacock or Paramount Plus to see the film. Seriously. As yours truly really does not like to go into horror films in the theaters unless if it has a buzz to it. And I've never heard of it before, or I heard very little of it, and relying on just reviews, I'm not going to go see it. But I will give you my thoughts on Blumhouse's Night Swim at the end of this podcast, as this is the Blumhousemania and Wrestlemania episode. So, I will start off with a Blumhouse news item. Since WrestleMania 40 takes up like almost 45 minutes of this podcast, literally, I have to curtail the news segment. So I will do one news story. And since I'm reviewing Night Swim, I might as well talk about an upcoming Blumhouse film, everyone. And that's why I'm dubbing this the Blumhousemania Wrestlemania episode, everyone. And it has to go with the news that at CinemaCon, I really wish that would be a pop culture convention, because that would be a cool name for a pop culture convention. CinemaCon, everyone. But sadly, it's a convention for movie theaters owners only, as the big studios sell them on their latest releases. That's where they all get together to hype up the new movies coming out. Back to Blumhouse and Lionsgate, as they recently announced out of that convention that they will partner on the development and production of horror classics in the Lionsgate library. Please, no! No, please! But then again, it's none other than Jason Blum and Blumhouse Productions. Have to do something this stupid. I just don't get it, Jason Blum. Seriously. Is this what you're becoming now, Jason Blum? A guy that's producing remakes? You remade the Halloween trilogy. You tried to remake The Exorcist, or added on to The Exorcist by retconning it. I don't get it, Jason Blum. Please, don't become a studio of remakes. And to do it with the Lionsgate library, who for years have held films hostage in their library, I just don't get it. Seriously. What films that Lionsgate that has been held hostage is getting remade? I don't want to see remakes, people. Seriously. Lionsgate is now going down this remake territory with their horror library. Why don't you put these movies on Blu-ray? Seriously. I'm sure there's some films in that vault that have not been on Blu-ray yet. Literally. I just don't get Lionsgate. Seriously. And the first title under this new Blumhouse Lionsgate reimagining horror classic library is none other than a personal favorite of mine, The Blair Witch Project. Are you bleeping me? Seriously? This is gonna be the first remake under the new Lionsgate Blumhouse deal? I don't get it. Why does this film need to be remade, everyone? This is a found footage film. It does not need to be remade. It's perfect the way it is. Leave it alone, Lionsgate. Leave it alone, Jason Blum. I just don't get you people. Seriously. It's the first film in a multi-picture pact. Meaning I can't wait to see what else is going to get remade. Leprechaun? Dead Alive? I know that's a Lionsgate title at one time. If that's still theirs. I'm trying to think of other Lionsgate titles that they could probably remake that would annoy me. Waxwork, that's another one. Blood Diner, another one. How about Warlock? That's another one too. We don't need remakes, people. Wishmaster, I forgot about that film because that had an all-star cast at the time. You know, the one with Robert Englund, Kane Hodder, Tony Todd, Ted Raimi, Andrew Dieterkoff. That film. So I don't get it. Seriously, Lionsgate. We do not need remakes. And to let Jason Blum remake this film. Why does Lionsgate need to ruin their classics in their library? Seriously. Why? And to partner up with Jason Blum, whose track record lately with all these remakes haven't been that good. I just don't see it working. Seriously. I just don't want it. Seriously. I want original horror, not remakes, everyone. Please. Also, speaking of the Blair Witch Project remake, it didn't take that long for somebody to slam the remake. In fact, it felt like it was almost record time. Seriously. That this happened. As on April 12th in a social media post, one of the film's stars, Joshua Leonard, really went off on Lionsgate over this reboot, saying it's been 25 years of disrespect. I would agree with him. It's been 25 years of disrespect, going all the way back to Odyssey Entertainment, the original studio that acquired the Blair Witch Project, and how they screwed the filmmakers over. How they pretty much screwed everyone over. Seriously. They brought the film for $1 million. It grossed about around $250 million. And Leonard allegedly told in a post that they were actually losing money from marketing expenses. How can you lose money if you brought the film for $1 million and grossed $250 million? How did you lose $249 million or around that ballpark? How? For marketing expenses? I don't think it cost $200 million to market it in the first place. That sounds ludicrous. Seriously. And especially at the time they were using the internet to promote this film. It did not cost $200 million to use the internet to promote this film. Seriously. I can see why cast and crew are bitter at Odyssey Entertainment and Lionsgate Entertainment. Because these people deserved to be paid, and it allegedly looks like they haven't been paid for this film in profits. I just don't get it. Seriously, people. This is why I support Lloyd Kaufman's way of thinking. I know it can be a little crazy and out there sometimes, but there are probably some truths in it. Especially when studios are screwing independent filmmakers. The big ones. Yeah, that does happen. Because, of course, the major studios want to make every last dime they can off of these films. They want to keep expenses low. They want to make maximum profit while not paying people their right shares. I just don't get it. Now, all this is allegedly that they barely made any money off the success of this. But I would not be surprised if that happened. Because after all, it's Hollywood, everybody. They literally don't care about independent films. And the fact that they were probably paid so little after the fact is a crime. Considering a movie grossed $250 million. Then again, I think Odyssey Entertainment at the time was having a lot of bad financial trouble. So they were trying to make every excuse in the book. Because eventually they had to sell out to Lionsgate, who continued to disrespect the film, obviously, because now we're getting this stupid remake. Seriously, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Seriously, how Hollywood works. And it's like, if you sell an independent film to Hollywood, chances are they're going to try and keep most of the money to themselves. It's a very controversial topic, seriously. How Hollywood deals business. I don't want to even know that aspects, but still, that just sounds scummy to me, what Odyssey and Lionsgate have been doing to this film for the last 25 years. But then again, it's now brought up again because, well, Jason Blum had to remake the Blair Witch Project. We're going to hear more of the stories about how Odyssey Entertainment screwed the filmmakers and the actors over. And that's probably what happened, in my mind, in my opinion. All this is allegedly, but I could probably see Leonard's point. Because I really believe this film has been kind of disrespected. Seriously. Because Lionsgate has not had a good track record with horror films, everyone. It took them a while to release a lot of these horror films on Blu-ray. Some of the cult classics. It felt like it took forever and a day. So, I really think the studio really did not do a good job honoring the legacy of this original film. And Joshua Leonard might have a point on how the cast and filmmakers were disrespected on the business side of things. Just saying. But everything's allegedly. And with that, that's the news. Besides Anthony T's horror show, you can also listen to these other fine podcasts on the Doc Discussions Network. Doc Discussions, hosted by Philip Perrone and Michael Dwyane. You Know Nothing, Jon Snow, a Game of Thrones podcast. Bullets, Brothels, and Bots, a Westworld podcast. Halloween Boutique, Psychotronic Reviews, and Searching for American Gods. You can find Doc Discussions on the web at www.docdiscussions.com. And Doc Discussions is also available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify. Welcome back, and it's the first time I'm reviewing a wrestling show this year. In fact, I'm reviewing 2 wrestling shows, as I'll review Night 2 next segment, as we're here to talk about, you guessed it, WrestleMania 40, the only event that has 2 nights, literally. Why we need 2 nights, I don't know, seriously, at this point, literally. 1 show is good enough. Seriously, that's it. It's just 2 nights is too much. Especially with the many sponsorships that happened during the event. It was just too much. Seriously. WrestleMania 40 took place April 6th and April 7th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lincoln Financial Field. The 2-night event started off with Triple H kicking off the event saying, "Welcome to the new era." So we're probably now officially in the Triple H era of WWE, which might be a good thing. Now, before we go into this, one of the most annoying things about the 2-night spectacular was seeing that stupid Prime logo everywhere. You had a hydration station around ringside. You had the top and bottom turnbuckles with Prime logos. And you had the picture of a Prime bottle right in the center of the ring mat. Sure, I don't mind advertising on the ring mat, but I want to see more advertising than a stupid Prime bottle. And don't get me started about Logan Paul's bleeping sports drink, as we all know how much I don't like Paul and his bleeping sports drink in wrestling. And we get to see a lot of it here, because it's there completely throughout the 2 nights, as it's on the ring, literally in the center. It is very distracting when it's just that bottle in the center of the ring. The announcing team was Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Pat McAfee. First match on night 1 was Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. Both of them had special entrances, Becky having a video package in which she reads quotes from her New York Times best-selling book. Rhea Ripley would come out to music from the band Motionless in White, as that was a cool scene to see. This match did a really good job in kicking off the weekend, as there was some really good back-and-forth action. At one point, Ripley would get Becky in the prism trap, only for Becky to turn it into a pin combination. She would hit the manhandle slam for a 2 count, and a minute later, Ripley would hit Riptide for 2. Becky would hit a suplex into the disarmer, but Ripley would send her and Lynch over the top rope to break the hold. Ripley would hit a frog splash for 2. The finish would happen when Rhea Ripley would hit the Riptide onto the turnbuckle, then hit another Riptide for the pin, in a very good opener, and one of the best matches of the night. Next, there was a trailer for Rebel Moon Part 2. Now, here's the thing. I'm seeing this on demand. I don't want to see trailers for movies. I'm sorry, in my wrestling events. Stop it, WWE, please. Enough of the commercials. I don't want to see them. You're on demand. It's not like live, but still, I don't want to see commercials either live or on demand. I just want to see a straight up wrestling event. There's a reason why these premium live events go on too long. It's stupid commercials like Zack Snyder's new film, Rebel Moon Part 2, Sky Healer. I'm sorry, I don't want movie trailers in my premium live events or pay-per-views. I'm sick of it, WWE. Seriously. Then the next thing I don't need is sponsorships in my matches. Seriously. As we get the 6-pack ladder match for both sets of tag team titles sponsored by Wheatley American Vodka. First of all, I thought this was supposed to be a PG show. And if it is, why is there sponsorship from a vodka company? I thought this was being geared towards families. Selling booze on a show that's geared towards families doesn't make any sense. But I guess they're really getting rid of that PG era. The match would be DIY versus The New Day versus Waller Theory versus Awesome Truth versus Judgment Day versus Dunn and Bates. Bates would do an airplane spin with Balor holding the ladder before he dropped it. That was a cool sight to see. Bates and Dunn would do stereo moonsaults off the ladder on the outside. A funny bit happened in the match when R-Truth wanted the hot tag when The Miz was getting beat up by Judgment Day. You gotta remember, this is a ladder match, everyone. There is no tags. He eventually gets that. He eliminates Priest. He hits the 5-knuckle shuffle and the AA on Balor and pins him. But again, this is a ladder match, not a tag team match, everyone. Miz would get in the ring only for Priest to attack him until DIY would help them as Gargano would hit a sweet chin music type super kick. Ciampa would hit the pedigree. The teams looked like they would square off against each other until they both decided they would go for different sets of tag team titles. As this is one of those matches where if you grab one set of titles, the match continues. So if both of those teams grabbed those different sets, the match would have been over. But Waller and Theory knocked both of those teams off ladders, and they quickly rushed up the ladders to grab the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, meaning the match continues. Waller would be tossed off the ladder and onto a ladder outside. Action was all over the place in this match. It was hard to keep track at times. The finish would come when Priest would stop the New Day from climbing the ladder until The Miz tried and climbed the ladder, and they both fell off the ladder. Truth would throw a ladder in the ring, but Priest would take it from him. Priest would climb up the ladder until Truth would knock Priest off the ladder, then give him an AA over the top rope, then climb up the ladder and grab the tag team titles for the Awesome Truth as they become the Raw Tag Team Champions. And the Tag Team Championships on Raw and SmackDown are now separate championships. This is where this card takes a turn for the worse, as Santo Escobar and Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio and Andrade in another match, yet sponsored by Minute Maid. At this point, I'm just going to say sponsored match, because I'm tired of these sponsored matches. Seriously. There was 4 matches at least sponsored on this card, which is stupid. 4 or 5 of them at least. But anyway, this was not a good match. First of all, there were way too many people at ringside on both sides. If you're going to have too many people at ringside, you might as well do an 8-man tag match. That would have made much more sense than this match, because this was just all over the place. This felt like a TV match at best. It was yet another chapter in the never-ending Dominic Mysterio versus Rey Mysterio feud, while Rey Mysterio is feuding with Santo Escobar. I don't know why we need to have Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio for the 900th time. Where is this leading between the father and the son? Seriously. Is this leading to Rey Mysterio's retirement? If it's not, then this is just putting Dominic Mysterio on the card. It was throwing him in with Santo Escobar in a tag match against his father, Rey Mysterio Andrade. I was hoping for something more fast-paced, but it just felt too chaotic. Too many people at ringside. It was one of those annoying matches where literally I wished it ended very quickly. The finish came when everyone was brawling. Then two masked men showed up. Two heavyweights, nonetheless, dressed as luchadors in green, nonetheless. Remember, we're in Philadelphia. We're playing at the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, everyone. They have to have green masks, everyone. They attacked Dominic Mysterio, leaving Santo Escobar on his own, allowing Ray to hit the frog splash for the win. Then after the match, the two masked men revealed themselves to be Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson of the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, really. Gotta have more celebrity involvement. How nice, WWE. Not a good match. Too chaotic. This was a TV match at best. Too much shenanigans. Let's move on to Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Another sponsored match. Lil Wayne would come out and accompany Jey Uso to the ring. I was really hoping this would be a really good match, but this really felt too repetitive with the kicks, the punches, the movesets felt repetitive at times. At one point, Jimmy would beg for forgiveness, but Jey would give it, only for Jimmy to sucker him into a super kick and frog splash for 2. The match would end when Jey speared Jimmy, then hit the frog splash for the win. Very disappointing match, given the fact that I was expecting it to be a better match. On paper, it looked like it was a better match. Then we got Jade Coghill, Bianca Belair, Naomi versus Damage Control of Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane. Another sponsored match. It was an okay match for what it was. It was a quick match, which basically helped get Jade Coghill over. She looked alright in the ring. I think that WWE is rushing her the same way AEW rushed her. I really think she could use some more ring time down in NXT just to work out some things. She does have a great mic presence and presence overall, but she needs to work on her in-ring work. It wouldn't hurt for her to spend at least 6 months down in NXT. But anyway, overall an okay match. Then probably the other best match besides Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, was Sami Zayn versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. Now this match had a lot of story going into it, with Sami Zayn can never win the big one. Now this match started off with Zayn walking from the backstage area, getting a talk from Chad Gable, then runs into Kevin Owens on his way to the entrance ramp. That was a nice way to start off his journey before he enters the arena. Gunther would come out with a Imperium, but they would be sent to the back. Gunther would dominate to start this match off. Sami would try to get back in this match, but be overpowered by Gunther. Like one time when Sami would try a Blue Thunder Bomb only to be caught in a sleeper hold. I like how they played this David versus Goliath thing throughout the match. Sami would try to get an advantage, but Gunther would always find some way to take that advantage back, as you had this monster heel versus this David-like babyface in this match. Gunther would hit a paintbrush kick, and he would try it again, but Sami would hit his Haluva kick for a 2 count. Gunther would hit 2 power bombs for 2. He would hit a clothesline and have the referee check on Sami, then hit a power bomb. Gunther would proceed to hit a top rope splash and another one, all in front of Zayn's family, trying to intimidate Zayn. The match would end when Gunther would try to go again for another top rope splash, but this time Sami Zayn wakes up and hits a Haluva kick, then a top rope brain buster. El Generico style, everyone. Then 2 Haluva kicks to end the 666-day reign of Gunther as Sami Zayn became the new Intercontinental Champion. Very stiff match, very good match. As I would put that match and the Ripley Lynch match as the two best matches of the night. As Zayn ended Gunther's IC title reign, which was the longest reign ever in the history of WWE. Whether it's a single reign or combined reigns, Gunther did it in one title reign. He holds the record for the most days total and the most days in one championship reign, as it was the perfect way to end that championship reign, because it's the longest reign in the history of the company, and you had to do it at this show. End that reign at this show. They did a great job booking his reign. He's now the record holder for the most days ever as Intercontinental Champion, and he did it with one title reign. He didn't have to do 2 or 3 title reigns to be the one to have it for the most days. He did it with one reign, which is a major accomplishment in this day and age. You don't see wrestlers holding titles for 600 plus days and actively defend titles. Unlike Roman Reigns, who just is a title hog and rarely defended that Universal Championship. Let's face it, he held it for a couple years, but how many times did he really defend that championship? It wasn't like he was defending it every month. Gunther was pretty much doing that, at least. Then we had an hour and a half left to go in the show and one match left. What could go wrong when you have one match left and an hour and a half to get that match done? Almost everything, as it was time for the main event. But before we got to the main event, which was sponsored, by the way, between the video packages, the entrances, and the ring introductions, it took about 26 minutes for all that. Seriously, 26 minutes for the video packages, then the ring entrances as everyone came out separately, then we had the ring introductions. There's no need for 26 minutes between all that, seriously. But you got elaborate entrances from Cody, who got to come out through his Cody Vader entrance. You know, the one where he comes from underneath the stage onto the stage. He did that. You had Dwyane come out to a Ring of Fire with the Brahma Bull logo. Why did we need to have an elaborate entrance for The Rock? And yes, he was carrying out the People's Championship belt, which he got the night before at the Hall of Fame ceremony from the widow of Muhammad Ali. Then you had the never-ending Roman Reigns entrance that takes forever in a day. That always puts me to sleep. Everyone just takes his sweet hot time going down to the ring. I hate that. You would think you would try to speed it up, because 26 minutes is ridiculous between all this. Seriously. It would have been nice if he wore his Air Reigns shoes to the ring, because he did recently sign a deal along with WWE to have a shoe called Air Reigns. Everyone. It would have sped up his entrance, because those shoes are probably a couple $100. So you are able to probably walk faster than what he did at night one of his WrestleMania entrance. Ugh. What else could be worse? How about a 44-minute match, everyone? A 44-minute tag team match on night one. We did not need a 44-minute match, everyone. Please. It's a tag team match that means nothing. But Dwyane has to push his ego around. He has to be the star. And he needs to show off his ego to everyone that he main evented another WrestleMania with another long WrestleMania match. So that's why we had to go 44 minutes, everyone. There were a lot of spots in this match where it was slow, quite frankly. You had some spots that picked up outside the ring, but the in-ring stuff really felt slow for the most part. When you get to the brawling outside, that's when the action really picked up. But this match was filled with overbooked shenanigans, with The Rock threatening to fire the referee on multiple occasions. Might as well just make a no DQ match if you're going to do that, seriously. That would have made a lot more sense than having The Rock threatening the referee every time the referee tried to make a count against him in Reigns. It was just ridiculous. Seriously, all the shenanigans in this match. Low blowing in front of the referee doesn't just call for a DQ because he's too afraid of getting fired. What the hell? Some of the action in this match include The Rock would put Rollins in a sharpshooter until Rhodes broke it up, which led Rollins getting offense in, including a curb stop. Rhodes would attack Reigns and hit the Cody cutter for 2. He would try another cutter, only to run into a Superman punch for a 2. Rhodes would hit Crossroads for 2 when The Rock drags the referee out of the ring. Yeah, this might as well have been a no DQ match, as it felt like a one-sided no DQ match. Because look at me, I'm on the board of TKO. If you do something, I'll fire you. Typical Dwyane trying to be the center of attention, as this is what this whole match felt like. The Rock would threaten the Rhodes family at one point with a weight belt until Cody got the belt back. The Rock would gain the upper hand with a spine buster and tried for the people's elbow, only for Cody to pop back up and hit the Cody cutter. Rhodes would try Crossroads, but Reigns would hit a Superman punch. Roman would set up Cody for the spear, only for Rollins to push Cody out of the way and make Reigns hit The Rock by accident. Rhodes and Rollins would both attack The Rock and Reigns with stereo pedigrees. Rollins would hit a crossbody on Reigns on the outside. The Rock and Rhodes would brawl. The Rock would set Cody Rhodes on the Spanish announce table for a rock bottom, but Cody would counter into a rock bottom of his own on the regular announcer's desk, while Reigns spears Rollins through the barricade. Rhodes and Reigns would brawl until Cody would hit 2 crossroads on Reigns. He was going for another until Reigns pushed Cody into the ropes, allowing The Rock to hit Cody with his weight belt. This would lead Roman Reigns to spear Rhodes. The Rock would then get tagged in, as he had to be the glory hound. As, let's face it, this is all about Dwyane here. This whole 44-minute match was about Dwyane, as he also had to get the pin in this match too. As he should have just ended it when Roman Reigns speared Cody Rhodes, seriously. But no, Dwyane needed his WrestleMania moment. So he would hit the rock bottom on Cody, then the people's elbow for the 3 count in a very long match that suited the ego of one Dwayne Johnson. As this match went 44 minutes, it was the longest match out of all the matches of WrestleMania 40, and it had no right to be 44 minutes. Seriously. This was all about Dwayne Johnson, and that is it. This whole match was about Dwayne Johnson and his ego. I'm sorry. Seriously. I should not be ranting about this in a review, but this is what this match felt like. A 44-minute match, all to soothe the ego of one Dwayne Johnson. Seriously. A guy who is in the main event of WrestleMania because he's on the board of TKO. I'm sorry. It pisses me off as a wrestling fan that he took a main event spot away from Drew McIntyre. overall, this was not a good show, with the exception of maybe 2 matches that are really good. The Rhea Ripley Becky Lynch match, the 6-pack ladder match, and the Sami Zayn Gunther match. Excuse me, 3 matches. I'm sorry. I'm just pissed off about Dwyane taking the spotlight in the main event. I'll be back with my thoughts on night 2. Every day there's a family struggling with hospital bills to care for their sick child who is fighting an illness. There's a woman who is fighting breast cancer and is having trouble making ends meet while paying for their treatment. And there are burn victims that are going through treatments to heal their deep wounds. There is a charity in the horror community that helps these people. Scares That Care is an organization that helps families deal with the bills for their child. They help women get the treatment they need to fight breast cancer, and they help people who are dealing with severe burns get the help they need to heal. Scares That Care is a 100% volunteer organization and 501c3 nonprofit charity that is dedicated to helping these people in fighting real monsters. To find out more information or to donate to Scares That Care, you can go to www.scaresthatcare.org. Every donation helps Scares That Care fight real monsters. Welcome back. Now moving on to night 2 of WrestleMania 40. It started off with Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. This match had Mr. Motormouth himself, CM Punk, on commentary. And if you're wondering why I'm calling him a Motormouth, as he won't shut up about All In. Seriously, enough. And yes, Tony Khan should stop it too. But this is the WWE WrestleMania 40 review, so I'm not talking any more about this. I'll table that for another time. Now, Drew McIntyre gets a great entrance in this match with bagpipes and Highlanders with swords. Seth Rollins also gets special entrance of his own with the Philadelphia String Band Association, with the intro and them accompanying him to the ring. This was a good match and a good way to start the show off, even though it's a short match. I still can't stand that stupid Prime logo in the center of the ring, seriously. But I'll get to that more later on. McIntyre would hit the Claymore to start off the match for a 2 count. He would then send Rollins rolling out to the outside and nails a wicked suplex. Drew tries to hit Future Shock in front of Punk, but Rollins counters that into a pedigree. Seth went for a top rope move but misses, and it allowed Drew to hit Future Shock for 2. McIntyre would hit another Claymore for 2. He would go to the announcer's table where Punk is, and he would set Rollins up for a powerbomb, but he gets out. Rollins would then go curb stomp McIntyre on the announcer's table. McIntyre would get rolled into the ring, then get up and hit a Claymore for a 2, then hits another one to win the World Heavyweight Championship. Overall, it was a very good match to start off night 2, as both Rollins did a really good job playing off the events of night 1, and McIntyre was also very good in the match. Post-match, McIntyre would stare at CM Punk, then go to the announcer's table to confront him, then make some sort of obscene gesture at Punk, which causes Punk to snap and attack. Punk blows a kiss, and then Damian Priest comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he cashes that briefcase in. He rolls McIntyre into the ring, then hits the South of Heaven choke slam for the 3 count, and becoming the new heavyweight champion, Damian Priest. So Drew McIntyre's latest heavyweight championship reign only lasted about 5 minutes. That was kind of an interesting way to start off the show, seriously, by having Priest cash in that Money in the Bank and be successful. It's about time because he had it for so long that he actually cashes it in and wins. As that title lately has been like failed cash-in after failed cash-in. So it's nice to see a cash-in that actually wins a title, which is the object of the Money in the Bank briefcase, everyone. The next match, The Final Testament versus the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley. Snoop Dogg is on commentary, who also has a gin and juice drink sponsoring this match. And Bubba Ray Dudley is the special guest referee for the Philadelphia Street Fight. This match was just all over the place. It was really hard to keep track of what was going on. You had the Final Testament at one point hitting everyone with kendo sticks. They covered the Street Profits, and B-Fab breaks the pinfall, only for Scarlett to bring a trash can and hit B-Fab. Like I said, everything was like all over the place. The finish of this match was literally Karrion Kross would push Bubba Ray Dudley after arguing with him. This led Bobby Lashley to hit the spear. The Street Profits and Lashley hit the Dudleys' what's up headbutt. The Profits get the tables. They set Kross on the table and the table breaks. So the Profits get another table, lay Kross on the table, and Montez Ford hits the frog splash, and Lashley gets the pin. It was an okay match for what it was. It's just too many shenanigans, too many interference. It was just one of those matches. Then LA Knight versus AJ Styles, which is sponsored by Slim Jim. Which is obvious because LA Knight is the official spokesman of Slim Jim. AJ Styles gets new music and runs quickly to the ring and attacks LA Knight, as this is a good old-fashioned grudge match. It spills to the outside quickly with Knight nailing Styles' head on the announcer table. There was some really good back and forth action in this match. Styles would hit a calf crusher only for Knight to get to the rope. Styles would nail Knight on the post and try to get a 10 count to no avail. He would go for a springboard 450 only for Knight to get the knees up. Styles would try for the flying forearm but get knocked off the ropes, and Knight gets the BFT for the win in a very good match. One of the better matches on Night 2, as Night 2 really is the better of the two nights, by far. Then we get Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton versus Logan Paul for the United States Championship. This starts off with an annoying entrance from Logan Paul as he comes out riding the Prime truck. As if I did not need to see any more Prime advertising on this pay-per-view or premium live event. Let's not get started with this one, as he's accompanied to the ring with his mascot, which I'll save for later. Owens would come into the ring driving a golf cart, then backs up when Randy Orton's music hits to pick up Randy Orton. Both Orton and Owens immediately go after Logan Paul. They attack Paul until Orton tries to RKO Owens. This leads those two to fight. While that's happening, Logan Paul hits a double clothesline. Paul would hit a splash in the corner on Orton. This leads Owens to take out Paul and hit a cannonball. Owens would try a swanton. Logan Paul would get the knees up and hit a swanton on Owens and a frog splash on Orton. Orton would hit his trademark hanging DDT on both Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. Action was all over the place as it was fast. Orton would hit the RKO on Owens for 2. Logan Paul would come to the ring with his brass knucks and nail Orton for a 2 count. He then landed shots with those same brass knuckles on Kevin Owens, leading Owens to the outside. This leads Orton to hit the RKO on Logan Paul. Randy Orton would get the brass knuckles and hand it to the ref because he would go for his trademark signature punt on Logan Paul, and I wished that move connected. But unfortunately, that did not connect. as the Prime mascot pulls Logan Paul out of the ring. Orton goes after the Prime mascot and reveals him to be I Show Speedy. Orton begins to attack I Show Speedy and hits an RKO on the announcer's table to I Show Speedy. This allows Paul to run Owens into the post. Owens would come into the ring and hit a pop-up powerbomb on Paul and a stunner on Orton for 2. Owens would try for a pop-up powerbomb, but Orton counters it into a stunner. Logan Paul would throw Randy Orton out of the ring. Then he would hit the frog splash on Kevin Owens to retain the United States Heavyweight Championship in a very good match. And yes, I still hate Logan Paul because I don't like reality TV stars or social media influencers in my wrestling. The same way I don't like them in my movies. Sorry. But I do respect Logan Paul, the wrestler. I just don't respect Logan Paul, the person. Next up, you got Bayley versus Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley comes out to an Egyptian entrance before her music hits. Sky would come out with damage control. The action was very good. It's both Sky and Bayley did a very great job in keeping the action moving in this match. Sky would hit a dragon screw and work on Bayley's knee. They would brawl on the floor. Bayley throws Sky over the barricade. Sky tries to leap over the barricade, but Bayley counters that into a spinebuster. Bayley would attack Sky in the corner and hit a side slam for 2. Bayley tries a high-risk move only for Sky to counter that, landing Bayley to the floor and allowing Sky to hit a moonsault. She would also then hit a missile drop kick on Bayley. Bayley would hit a sunset flip into the turnbuckle and hit an inside cradle for 2. Sky would hit 2 consecutive German suplexes. Sky would go for the moonsault, but Bayley gets the knees up. Bayley goes to the top rope but misses, and Io Sky counters that into a crossface. Bayley would roll her up to break the hold. Bayley would try to go off the ropes again, but Sky again applies the crossface, but Bayley would get out. Bayley would hit Bayley the belly for 2. Sky would then nail a right hand. The women would trade slaps. Bayley would hit elbows and try for Bayley to belly, but Sky countered. Sky would hit what looked like an inverted pump handle slam on the knee. Sky would go to the top rope for the moonsault and hit it for 2. She would hit a standing moonsault, then a second rope moonsault, then try for a top rope moonsault, but Bayley gets out of the way. This leads Bayley to hit the rose plant, but Sky gets up immediately. Bayley hits a back suplex, then a top rope elbow, then a second rose plant to become the new WWE Women's Champion in a very good match. As all the matches, with the exception of the 6-man tag on night 2, have been good, all leading to the main event for the WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes in a Bloodline Rules match, which is basically a no DQ match. Thankfully, it didn't take forever and a day for Rhodes versus Reigns to start, unlike the night before, because that was ridiculous the night before, seriously. But anyway, the match starts off intense with both Cody and Reigns attacking each other. There's some good back and forth action in the match. Cody would get Roman early in the figure 4 leg lock, but Roman would rake the ice to break the hold. They would eventually brawl in the crowd. They would get on a platform on the outside, probably where all the sound equipment is. I would think it was in that area, in that vicinity. Roman would try to throw him off the platform, but Cody would block and hit a suplex on the platform. The two then would go back to the ring. Cody would go for a disaster kick, but Roman catches him and power bombs him. Reigns would get the upper hand, attacking Cody until he turned it around and hit a disaster kick for 2. Cody tried to hit a Cody cutter, but Reigns caught him and hit Crossroads for 2. Reigns would go for the Superman punch, but misses, allowing Cody to gain the advantage. They would go to the outside, and Cody would take the top of the announcer's table off. As he went to grab Roman would hit a low blow, then hit the powerbomb through the announcer's table and bringing him into the ring and hit the Superman punch for 2. Reigns would go for a spear but misses as Cody hits a knee. This allows Cody to hit a Cody cutter for 2. They both would try to hit power moves until Cody nails Roman with a spear for 2. Cody would hit Crossroads and go for a second one until Jimmy Uso hit the ring and break up the third Crossroads attempt. Reigns would hit the Superman punch, then Jey Uso's music hits, and Jimmy runs up the ramp as the two stop brawling until Jey spears Jimmy off the stage. It distracts Roman enough, allowing Cody to get a roll up in a 2 count. Then Roman would hit the spear for a 2. Roman would hit his guillotine submission until they both rolled to the floor. Cody would then spear Roman through the barricade in a very good moment in the match. This would lead to Cody to bring Reigns back in the ring, hit 2 Crossroads. Solo Sikoa comes in and hits the Samoan Spike, which allows Roman to pin Cody for 2. Solo would help set Roman for the spear, and he would hit it for 2. Then the kitchen sink approach happens. First, John Cena hits the ring. He would come out and attack Solo. Then he would hit the attitude adjustment on Roman. Then sent Solo through the Spanish announcer's table. The Rock would then come out. Both The Rock and Cena would have a stare down. This would allow The Rock to hit rock bottom, as Dwyane had to get his night 2 moment, obviously. As of course, Dwyane needed to be the center of attention this weekend. Then the Shield's music would hit. Rollins would try to sneak in the ring with a chair in hand, but Reigns would nail a Superman punch on Rollins. Then the gong hit, and the lights went out. When they came back on, standing behind The Rock, or Dwyane, was The Undertaker, who mysteriously appears in the ring. And he gives The Rock a choke slam and disappears, leaving only Rhodes, Rollins, and Reigns left in the ring with a chair and weight belt. Reigns grabs a chair and hits Rollins in the back with the chair. Roman would try to go for the spear, but Cody would nail him with a knee. Then Cody would hit Crossroads 3 times and pin him to end this never-ending Roman Reigns WWE Universal title reign. Thankfully, it's over. Roman Reigns is not a champion anymore. And thankfully, it's a good thing. Now we can see both the World Heavyweight Championship and the WWE Championship defended regularly. Not this, the WWE Universal Championship being defended every 3, 4, 5 months. As I'm happy they finally ended this Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes feud, which has been going on for pretty much forever. And they actually had Cody Rhodes win the big one, finally. Now I don't need to hear about another Roman Reigns title defense in 4-5 months from now. As you're going to see the title hopefully now be defended regularly, which is a great thing for this company because seriously, that was one of my biggest gripes with this company, was the fact that Roman Reigns was holding the Universal Championship for that long, when he should have been dropping that title ages ago. And this wraps up WrestleMania 40. Overall, if I had to choose which were the better of the two nights, I probably would have to say night 2 was probably better than night 1. Because there are a lot better stuff on this show compared to night 1, where you had literally a main event that really was going way too over when it did not need to go too over. You had matches that really didn't live up to expectation and so on. So overall, night 1 gets probably 3 out of 5 stars. Night 2, 4 out of 5 stars. And that is my WrestleMania 40 review. You can follow Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show on these social media providers at Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling on Facebook, Instagram, and the Slasher app. You can find Anthony T's Horror and Wrestling Show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcast providers. You can also listen to the podcast at youtube.com/@FilmRKmedia and DocDiscussions.com. What's Anthony T watching this episode, since this is also Blumhousemania, everyone? What would a show with a Blumhousemania be not complete without a review of a film produced by Jason Blum and Blumhouse Productions? As this time yours truly is reviewing Night Swim, the haunted pool movie, everyone. Yes, Jason Blum actually produced a haunted pool movie. Now, here's the thing here. Back in around January, February, I was actually considering going to see this film in theaters, everyone. Because I had a choice between this film and action star extraordinaire Jason Statham, as he had a new film out called The Beekeeper. I'm so glad I went to see The Beekeeper, and the fact that I let my fandom of Jason Statham factor into my decision, because Night Swim was just flat out awful. It was so awful. It's probably one of the worst films I've seen all year. This was just pure garbage. I am glad I saw this on Peacock, because this was such garbage. And the fact that I wanted to see this film in theaters, because, you know, first horror film of the year, I was kind of feeling it up until the day of going to the movie theater, and decided, you know what, I'd rather see Jason Statham instead. Good for me that I chose that route, because if I had to pay for this film, I would have been so furious, literally, that I might have had to do a video review on this film, scathing this film. Now, this is based on a short film, everyone, about a haunted pool. This film should have stayed as a short film. The film is directed by Bryce McGuire, who also wrote the screenplay for this film. I don't know why he decided, we needed a feature-length feature of a movie about a haunted pool. Seriously, it's probably better off as a short film, everyone. Because a short film, you don't have to do all this stuff where you have to drag everything on to the final climax to see what happens. This is what happened with this film, because everything dragged. because nothing was happening in this film. Literally. It's like, this film felt like a family drama until like the last 20 minutes of this film. Sure, you get some jump scares. Sure, you get some horrifying scene that maybe isn't too horrifying, but still, I want horror films to have intensity and intense moments. Night Swim does not have any of that. It has nothing. It is just so awful. Let's start with Maguire's direction. I really thought his direction felt flat at all aspects. I thought the way he directed the dialogue scenes was flat. I thought there were scenes that just went nowhere. He doesn't even try to pick up the pace of the film at all. It's just so bad. The way he directs his cast at times felt so robotic. Even his lead star, Wyatt Russell, really doesn't do a good job with the way he handles his character, as he really plays this character one note. Doesn't even try to make this character interesting or anything. I don't know if it's because of the stupid screenplay of this film. Because yes, this film has a stupid screenplay. This film is about a killer pool. How can you create a 98-minute movie around a killer pool when no one is getting killed? Spoiler alert. For completely the entire film. I don't get it. Seriously. This is a film, I don't even know who decided it was a great idea to put this film on the big screen. In fact, to make it a feature film nonetheless. Because you're just dragging this film on. Literally. Spoiler alert. This film only has a scene in the beginning and the scene at the end. That's it. Everything else, it's just filler. His screenplay doesn't do anything to make anything scary or intense. As this is one of those screenplays that just drags on the entire time until the end of the film. Until maybe the last 15 minutes of the film. That's when you really get this film going. You cannot have this film going at the last 15 minutes of the film. Literally. That is not how you make a horror film, everyone. I really don't get Jason Blum and Blumhouse Productions lately. Seriously. With the choices they're making with their screenplays. I don't get it. What happened to the good old days of Blumhouse Productions? Seriously. Where they were the talk of the town, producing very good stuff. You have to question Jason Blum here on what he greenlights. Because seriously, with this, and now he's remaking Blair Witch Project and other films that are still slated to be in production. What is going on with Blumhouse Productions, people? Seriously. Five Nights at Freddy was okay. It wasn't that great. You gotta wonder, seriously, why Blumhouse Productions lately has been off the ball with their film. I think it started with Halloween Ends, quite frankly. As the other really good Blumhouse film that I can think of off the top of my head as of recently is maybe Insidious The Red Door and Megan. That's it. I can't think of anything else that's been really good from Blumhouse. Seriously. I don't even know why they gave Bruce Maguire money to make this film. Because this is a film that is not a feature film, everyone. And his story feels dull. He doesn't try to make anything interesting. Doesn't try to do something to make the action work or even make the characters interesting. As the characters in this film are one-dimensional. Enough with Night Swim. I'm done with this film. As this is another one-star film, everyone. And as I'm looking at 2024, I've seen 6 one-star films. I had at least 14 last year. I'm almost halfway there by the end of April. This is going to be a long year if these films are going to be bad. Seriously. And I still have to see Godzilla and Kong. Or Godzilla vs. Kong. That's going to be a delight to see. I don't have any high expectations for that film. What else is there? Probably a lot of Shudder stuff, a lot of Screambox stuff, maybe some Trauma Now stuff as well. So, it could be easily a long list of films where yours truly will have to endure the one-star film. Because honestly, I'm hoping the next film I review on this podcast isn't one star. Seriously. As this is 3 one-star films I've reviewed on this podcast in a row? You had Destroy All Neighbors, Scalper, now Night Swim. 3 one-star films, 3 2024 films I've reviewed on this podcast so far this year. The only film that I reviewed that was really good is up at the Film Arcade Media YouTube channel. At Film Arcade Media. That's it. Anyway, Night Swim is 1 star. Avoid this film at all costs. This is probably going to be one of the worst films of the year. Because this is definitely a dumb film. Usually I go for an hour, but this episode's gone way over an hour. So let me quickly get some things off my chest at the end. Over at the Film Arcade Media YouTube channel at youtube.com at Film Arcade Media. Yours truly recently did a video review for Immaculate starring Sydney Sweeney. You can see why I think it's a contender for Best Film of 2024. I plan on having another video up very soon. Haven't decided what film I'm going to review on the YouTube channel. It could be something new. It could be something old. It depends what I decide. But I'm guaranteeing there'll be a new video review coming on the YouTube channel. With that, I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and other podcast providers. With that, I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. Have a good day. Support indie wrestling. Support indie horror. This has been a Film Arcade Media production.